Operator, could you please connect me?
Hey, who are you calling?
1982. Hello and welcome once again to the Darkened Room of Music Conversation. I'm Chris.
And I'm Darren, and today we're going to be exploring the year that was 1982. This was a big year for me personally. I was 12 years old, by the way. And I consider that the year that I became a true music fan.
Which is why we picked this year. I picked 1983. Yeah. That's when I really started to absorb it and pay attention.
Exactly.
It was 82 for you?
82 for me, and that was when I started hearing things on the radio, and I was like, I gotta own that. I gotta go buy the cassette or whatever I gotta do to get it. So it was a big year for me, and it was actually a pretty interesting year in retrospect, all the things that happened in 1982, and we're gonna get to that more in just a second.
All right. Why don't we start with birthdays?
Let's do it.
The people that were born in 1982, the famous people, Kelly Clarkson is one of them.
Great singer.
Yeah, she is. Miss Nicki Minaj was born in this year. Lil Wayne and Lil Boosie were born in this year. Yeah. Adam Lambert.
Wow.
Current lead singer of Queen. Yeah.
Great singer.
Yeah. Ty Dolla $ign was born in this year. LeAnn Rimes. One of my favorite musicians, I've mentioned before, Andrew McMahon.
Right, right.
And then Neo.
Yeah.
Was also born in this year.
Has nothing to do with music, but I'll also add that Ben Roethlisberger was born in 1982.
Well, of course, you got to throw that in.
Had to squeeze that in. Big Ben, what's up? All right, so 1982, one of the things as I was doing my research to get ready for this particular episode, I noticed that there were a lot of songs that I really, really love. Some of my favorite songs of all time. Mm-hmm. But I didn't think that it was a really strong year as far as albums go.
That's true.
Yeah. Now, the elephant in the room, Michael Jackson Thriller was released in 1982.
That is correct.
So that is monumental. I mean, we'll get to talking about that a little bit later.
Yeah.
And Madonna made her debut in 1982. So I think that's extremely important. Mm-hmm. An artist that's still around to this day, and everybody knows the mark that she's left on music and just culture in general. Mm-hmm. Maybe some good, some bad. Who knows? But I like Madonna personally.
Oh yeah.
And then also I noticed that it was kind of the last hurrah of yacht rock as far as the original sound of yacht rock. And that is with real instruments and the more jazz, smooth, soul type stuff. Mm-hmm. Not long after this, in 1983, things became a lot more electronic sound.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So I found that was kind of an interesting footnote for this particular year. Mm-hmm. A lot of great songs, though.
Yes.
At the end of the episode, we're going to kind of discuss a few of our favorite albums that came out in 1982.
Yeah.
But I do want to hit on just a few things. MTV was pretty interesting at this point. Mm-hmm. It had been around for a year, and you made some observations about that. So what did you find when you were exploring the MTV side of 1982?
All right, so 1982, MTV hadn't been on the air for a year yet. So it hadn't started to make an impact on the Billboard charts quite yet. Of course, me being 11 years old that year, I didn't really start paying attention to the pop music charts and really retaining what I was hearing until MTV came along.
So they were hits to you when you were watching them on MTV?
A year later, yeah. So I'm like, when I'm looking at the charts, I'm like, I can't believe these weren't higher up on the Billboard charts. And I want to mention a few, like the Cars, Since You're Gone. They only made it to 41. Bow Wow Wow, I Want Candy.
They showed that all the time.
That was a huge song in my mind.
Yeah.
62 on the Billboard Hot 100. The two missing person songs that came out that year, Words and Destination Unknown.
Both great, by the way.
Didn't break the top 40. Talk Talk with their self-titled song.
Unbelievable. Hey, that's the one we were talking about. We were having a discussion earlier. This is funny.
That's right.
Talk Talk.
Yeah.
By Talk Talk from the album Talk Talk.
That's right. Yeah, we were talking about the Living in a Box.
Yeah.
And also Danger Danger. I just found that funny. Where Danger Danger didn't quite fit the mold.
Yeah, they had Bang Bang and
it was close
Naughty
enough.
Naughty. And
it was close enough, yeah. So all of these songs, it's like I thought they were much, much bigger hits.
Yeah.
And some that did
I would have thought so too.
So, yeah, songs that did break the top 40, but still, I thought were higher.
Yeah.
Shock the Monkey was that year. It only hit 29.
One of the most important songs of the decade, in my opinion.
Tom Tom Club with Genius of Love.
Wow.
I remember
barely
that.
Scraped the bottom of the top 40, right?
Haircut 100 with Love Plus One.
That's one of my favorite songs.
Yeah. So
to this day, I just really enjoy hearing that one.
It is. It's awesome. And so, you could really tell, that if these songs had been released a year later and MTV had already taken hold, they would have hit the charts much higher.
And I find it interesting that the labels wouldn't have got behind those songs promotional-wise towards radio when they are getting played so much on MTV. So maybe they were trying. I don't know. And of course, radio programmers were probably like, who cares about that MTV? They probably had some old dinosaurs still doing the programming.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe they just, weren't paying that much attention to MTV
at that point. No.
And I guess it reached a point where they had to pay attention.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was in '83 when, the whole thing with Michael Jackson's Thriller and, MTV reluctant to play that stuff.
Yeah.
That came a year later, of course.
Right.
But you can really see the threshold here between 82 and 83 where MTV actually became a force in pop music.
So I got a question. You brought this up. Do you think that 1983, and specifically with the release of the Thriller video, that was the moment that MTV became really relevant as far as promotional tools for music?
I think that was the very beginning of it. I think it was really solidified with Van Halen's Jump, because that's when the record label made a conscious decision to release it to MTV before even releasing a single to radio or the general public. They used MTV as a promotional tool for the first time.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a great point.
Yeah.
And our younger audience, I know a lot of you guys out here watching were like, 1982, man, that's a long time ago.
Yeah.
And it is. And you kids get out of my yard. But no, it's hard for you to even relate to this. A lot of the younger people, they're used to going to YouTube and watching something that happened 30 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Well, back then, it was a big deal. They would show the Thriller video every night at the same time.
Yeah.
I think that went on for like a week or two, maybe 2. I don't know. It was something crazy.
It eventually evolved into every hour on the hour they would show.
Yeah.
I remember that well.
Yeah. So it was a big deal. It was a really big deal.
Yep.
Well, anyway, back to 1982. We're going to talk about some of the more prominent songs that were released that were important to me, that I remember, that I have great memories of.
Yeah.
And we'll just kind of go back and forth and stop me when you want to say something, or jump right in, or slap me, or whatever you want to do. Prince, 1999.
Yes.
Yeah. Humongous song. Very important. Tommy Two-Tone, 8675309. Nashville's own Tommy Two-Tone.
That is correct, yeah.
I love that song. And to this day, I really think it's a great power pop song.
It really is,
It's just an excellent song.
Yeah.
Back on the Chain Gang by the Pretenders.
Yeah, that was huge.
Yeah.
Big song.
That's one that just stands out to me. Caught Up in You by 38 Special. Still one of my favorite songs to this very day. Don Henley finally broke into the solo realm. He had done a couple of soundtrack songs and so forth, but he finally released an album, I Can't Stand Still, and from that album, Dirty Laundry.
Yes.
Which I think is an excellent song.
Oh, that's a great song.
Yeah. Gloria by Laura Branigan. And man, Laura was such a cutie too.
Yeah.
Gone too soon. Gypsy by Fleetwood Mac.
Yes.
Yeah, these are all songs that are just, embedded in my brain forever.
You may be getting to this later, but I remember very well when Hold Me by Fleetwood Mac came out.
I do too. I remember when it premiered.
And I remember me and the neighborhood kids joking about what we thought it was saying. Like, I want a weenie. That's what we thought.
Wow.
That's what we were hearing, you know?
I remember that too. That had to be like the summer of 82 or something.
Yeah, in our 11-year-old juvenile minds, that's where we went.
Can you remember, was it the summertime when that was released? It sure seems like it.
Yeah, let me see.
I think I was out for school vacation.
Yeah.
And back then, by the way, we got like a longer school vacation than the kids get these days.
Yeah.
Another one, Hand to Hold On To by John Mellencamp, or John Cougar, or John Camp Cougar Mellon, or whatever he was going by back then. Flock of Seagulls, I Ran So Far Away.
Yes.
I still love this song.
That's a great song. I found it, by the way, Fleetwood Mac, June is when it hit the Hot 100.
I knew it was the summertime.
Yep.
I remember it well. And It's Raining Again by Supertramp. That is one of my favorite songs ever. I will never get tired of that song. I just think it's so gorgeous.
Yep.
I Love It Loud by Kiss. Remember that video?
Yes.
That was such a great video.
Yeah.
And I love that song to this day, and I love it loud. So bonus for me.
Yeah.
Love Will Turn You Around by Kenny Rogers, and I think that was from the Six Pack movie, right? Or
My favorite Kenny Rogers song.
I totally
undoubtedly
agree.
Yes.
That's the right call. That's the right answer.
Yeah.
And then one of my favorite Stevie Wonder songs, and that's saying a lot because Stevie Wonder is one of my favorite singers that's ever lived. I think he's just brilliant. That girl,
yeah, number 4 it peaked at that year. Yeah,
that song is just right. And he plays drums on that song.
I think I did know that. Yeah,
it's righteous. Sexual Healing, I think one of the songs that was the most ahead of its time of any song from the 80s. I would say Shock the Monkey and Sexual Healing way up there.
Yeah.
With that particular thing. You Got Lucky by Tom Petty.
Yeah.
That video, I mean, my God.
Yeah, again, I'm a year late to it because I'm seeing it on MTV. Yeah, that video was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Right.
Yeah.
Young Turks by Rod Stewart.
Yeah.
Another huge song.
At the time, I remember Casey Kasem saying this. It was like the only number 1 song that did not say the title in the song.
Wow.
I remember him saying that.
Interesting.
I'll fact check that though, and of course have a correction at the bottom if I'm wrong.
I'm sure it's happened since then, but at that point it could have been the case.
Yes.
I like this song. Sue me, throw me in jail, whatever you want to do. Carla Boniff, Personally.
I liked it too.
I like that song.
Yeah.
Waiting for a Girl Like You by Foreigner, a number 1 hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Their first big ballad breakout, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And do you know who played keyboards on that song?
Was that
Thomas Dolby.
Thomas Dolby?
That's right. Interesting trivia point, huh?
Wow. See, I never knew that. Yeah. I learned something today.
Yeah, Thomas Dolby.
Yeah.
So, as you can see, and Van Halen, Pretty Woman, there was Run to the Hills by Iron Maiden. I love that song.
Yeah.
Yeah, so some of the harder edge rock stuff got in on the act as well. But and then 2 of my favorite songs were by Asia. I love Heat of the Moment. I love Only Time Will Tell. Both of those from 1982. Both of those videos were pretty huge. Specifically Heat of the Moment. I still think that Only Time Will Tell was the better song. But at any rate, I can't think of 1982 without thinking of those songs.
Right. Yeah.
Now, one of the things that I noticed, and it's really interesting to me that I kind of alluded to earlier. So many amazing bands released albums that year, had big hits, but I don't consider it their best work.
Right.
And like Prince, for instance, I like other albums better than 1999. Tom Petty, I like other albums way better than Long After Dark. Van Halen, like tons of albums better than Diver Down.
Yeah.
It was just kind of a weird year like that. Kenny Loggins, I like the Heart to Heart, I think came out that year. Don't Fight It with Steve Perry. These are all songs that I just absolutely adore. They're just amazing songs. But the albums that they came from, I don't put near the top as far as their best work.
Yeah, it was definitely a single-centric year.
It really was.
Yeah.
It really was. And some years are just like that.
Yep.
I want to also talk and just for a second discuss a few of the top songs of that year. Now, these were the top 5 singles from 1982. And I'll go in reverse order.
All right.
Paul McCartney and Stevie Wonder, Ebony and Ivory.
Yes.
The song got played to death.
That was big, yeah.
Really was. Dexy's Midnight Runners, Come On Eileen.
Nice, yeah.
And if you're going to listen to that, it's got to have the fiddle intro, right?
That's right.
Joan Jett, I Love Rock and Roll. As iconic as it gets.
Yep.
Men at Work, Down Under. And the number 1 song of that year was Survivor, Eye of the Tiger.
Yes.
From Rocky 3.
I remember that one quite well, being at summer camp with Boy Scouts and a guy walking around with a boombox and that just blasting out of it.
Oh, man, they played it to death.
Yeah. And I remember, too, the radio station KDF was playing it. Someone had edited in the Rocky intro, the horn thing, just before it, and then the guitar came in under it. It was really effective.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know if I remember that.
I heard it once. It might have been the guy did it on the air just one time live, but it was so effective. It should have been a remix.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool. So as you can see, 1982, a very interesting year.
Yeah.
A lot of great singles. You know, if you're going to go out and explore 1982, go find the compilations because the albums aren't as good.
Right.
You're probably better off just finding the compilations of the best songs from that year.
Yep. All right. So since 1982 was not like that big of a music discovery year for me, I do remember songs on the radio when my parents had it on.
Yeah.
So I wanted to bring up the ones that I remember quite well. Before I discovered them on MTV. Abracadabra by Steve Miller.
Oh, man, I can't believe I forgot to mention that one. Yeah.
Yeah, Abracadabra. It's huge. #1 song.
And great video. Didn't show him at all. Remember that?
Right, I do remember that, yeah. Of course, I saw it a year later, but yeah. Anyway, let's see. What else do I have here? Rosanna by Toto.
Yeah.
I told the story of it coming out of that little radio right there.
They won Grammy Awards that year, too.
Yeah. Shame on the Moon, Bob Seger.
Love it.
I just remembered loving that song.
Me too.
And hearing it on the radio. And I talked about Hold Me already.
Yeah.
And the Asia ones, of course. Billy Joel, Pressure.
Yeah.
I remember hearing on the radio. And
we're gonna talk about that more later.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah. No One Like You. I remember hearing on KDF at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Eminence Front by The Who. And those were bubbling under. They didn't make the top, 40, but I remember hearing them on the rock station.
Yeah, rock radio warm out.
Yeah,
sure.
But then there was Let It Whip by Daz Band.
Yeah, R&B was kicking.
Oh my
year,
God!
man.
I mean, listen to this. Get Down on It by Kool and the Gang.
Love it.
Going Down by Greg. How do you say his
name? Greg
Gidry.
Gidry. Yeah, he's no longer with us, by the way. He died a very mysterious death. Look it up. It's not. It's not pretty.
Yeah. Call Me by Sky. Mama Used to Say by Junior.
Yeah.
You Dropped a Bomb on Me.
Love all of these songs, man.
Interestingly enough. As big as that song is now and longevity of it, you would think it would have gotten higher than number 31.
Wow.
But it didn't. That's as far as it went on the pop chart at the time. Murphy's Law by Cherie was that year as well.
That's a great song. If you've never heard that song, look it up. One of the best grooves I've ever heard.
All of those songs that I just mentioned in the kind of the R&B category, I remember because my mom had a K-Tel cassette.
Neon Nights.
All of those were on that compilation.
Right.
And she had it in the cassette player of the Honda Accord that we had at the time, and it never.
That's funny. My parents had a Honda Accord too.
Yeah.
What color was yours?
It was like light blue.
That's what ours was too. That is so weird.
That is weird.
Wow.
Yeah. Hey, they were great cars then.
Yeah, they were. Did it have those soft seats?
It did. Yeah.
I remember.
But it never left my mom's cassette player that year. So those are the ones I remember well.
All right, so I already mentioned that, even though 1982 wasn't the greatest year in the world for album releases, maybe because Thriller was so monumental, it overshadowed everything.
Yeah.
There were some albums that I really, really loved that were released that year.
Yeah.
And we're going to run down our top 5 favorites. We'll just go back and forth here.
Yeah, and I'll preface my list before I begin revealing mine with, these are albums that I kind of discovered a little later in my life.
Sure.
But they're from 1982, and it qualifies for this list in my mind.
Works for me.
Yeah.
All right, so my number 5 is actually, this is one of the rare ones. Not his best album, but it's my favorite, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Billy Joel, The Nylon Curtain. It has Allentown, which I think is brilliant.
I love that song, yes.
Pressure, which is probably my favorite Billy Joel song, and you mentioned that earlier.
Yeah.
And then it had... what was it? Good Night Saigon, which was a video, a live performance and stuff, a very deep, meaning song. And then there's a song on there called Laura. You got to hear it, folks.
Yeah.
Call it up on YouTube. It's one of the best moments in Billy Joel history. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
So that's my number 5 pick for my favorite albums from 1982.
Well, very nice. Well, my number 5, I'm going to have to go with Don Henley's I Can't Stand Still.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I remember, later years buying the CD, and I thought the whole thing was good.
It's really, I like Johnny Can't Read. I love that song.
Oh, that's a great song.
Yeah.
And I remember there's one special song on there that I kind of connected with my grandmother with because it was like a hymnal song that he turned into. Yeah, The Unclouded Day.
Yep.
So that was on there as well. So that's probably the biggest reason why that album has a special place in my heart, because of that song and my connection with my grandmother at the time. So there it is. I Can't Stand Still.
Lovely. Great choice. Number 4 for me. Still enjoy hearing this record, and I'm always in the mood to hear it. Joe Jackson, Night and Day.
Oh, yeah, that was a great one.
That's Always Something Breaking Us in Two. Stepping Out, which is just a tremendous song. And the whole thing is really good. Cancer is a really cool song. There's just some really good moments on there.
Very nice, yeah. All right, so my number 4, am I cheating if I pick a soundtrack?
Not at all.
Okay, Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Oh, wow.
I mean, come on.
Somebody's Baby's on there.
Somebody's Baby, and for the longest time, you could only find it on there, and you couldn't find the soundtrack. So that kind of made it valuable there for a while.
I think they finally reissued it on CD like in the mid-90s or something.
Yes, yeah. And that crushed the value of it at that point.
And I like the song Love Rules by Don Henley. That's on there.
Yeah.
That's a really good song.
And, of course, Raised on Radio.
Yeah.
You know, the opening credits to the movie.
Yeah,
the Ravens. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I love the whole soundtrack.
Great choice,
Yeah.
man. Mm-hmm. All right, my number 3. I guess we're ready for 3.
Number 3, yeah.
Toto 4.
And I had a feeling you'd pick that one.
Yeah, and I really don't think it's their best album.
Right.
There's at least 4 Toto albums I like better than 4. But, hey, let's face it. When any album that has Africa on it, it's got to be up there because I think it's one of the best songs that was ever written.
Yes.
Rosanna won Grammy Awards that year.
Yeah.
Another song on there that you never hear anymore is Make Believe.
I remember that one,
Really great song that charted, and it's one of my favorite Toto moments. So number 3 for me, Toto 4.
All right, very nice. All right, so number 3 for me would have to be Michael Jackson's Thriller.
Okay.
That was one of the first LPs I remember getting when I got my home console stereo. My parents finally bought for me. And what can I say about Thriller? I mean, everyone knows it. You know, beginning to end, it's a great album.
Right.
So that's it. Number 3. Yeah.
Something about Thriller that I didn't understand then, and I don't understand to this day. Why in the world did they pick "The Girl Is Mine" as the first single? I've just never understood that. Not that it's a horrible song.
I have a theory.
Okay.
Because of what happened with MTV and how MTV would not play black artists, I think that was their attempt to cross the bridge
by having Paul McCartney on there.
Paul McCartney, iconic Beatle.
Coming off the heels of Ebony and Ivory.
That's right. Exactly right. So
I think you're onto something there.
Yeah, I think that's why they picked that as the first.
That's a good theory.
Yep.
All right. My number 2 album of 1982 from one of my favorite groups ever, or duo ever. Hall & Oates, H2O.
Ah, yeah.
Produced by my buddy Neil Kernan. Neil, if you're out there, what's up?
Shout
out. Just great stuff on this record all the way through. Man Eater, of course.
Yeah.
Family Man, still one of my favorite songs to this day.
Yep.
And even the deep cuts on there. You know, of course, there's One on One. That was a hit, too.
Yeah.
But even the deeper cuts on that album, like Crime Pays and stuff, just great stuff all the way through. And if there was an album that I probably heard the most in 1982, it was H2O.
Yeah. All right. Very nice.
Yeah.
All right. So my number 2 is 1999 by Prince. Now, like you said before, it's not as good of an album as Purple Rain.
Right.
But it's got some great, great stuff on it. And I can listen to it beginning to end. Released as a double album, of course. Delirious, Little Red Corvette, 1999. Everyone pretty much knows those songs. But I loved, like, Let's Pretend We're Married. I loved Automatic, Something in the Water Does Not Compute. I think it's just a fantastic album.
Yeah. I don't disagree, man.
Yeah.
Prince is great. Was, unfortunately.
Yes, unfortunately.
All right. Well, my number 1, no big surprise here. I'll get right to it. Rush, Signals from
yes.
1982. I do think that's a fantastic album. Love it all the way through. And it's one, when I think 1982, that's probably the first thing that pops into my head because I just really, really love that album. Between that and H2O, it'd be a big battle as to which one I've heard the most in my lifetime.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Very cool. All right. My number 1 may not be a surprise to you either. It is the Alan Parsons Project, Eye in the Sky. Man, yeah. Again, an album that I really discovered later in life because of the Pink Floyd connection. Alan Parsons engineering and producing some of their stuff. But yeah, the title track, Eye in the Sky, which had the serious intro. Which the Chicago Bulls used to come out to. Psychobabble was actually...
That's my favorite, man.
That was in the top 100. It actually came in, bubbling under, like around the 60s or 70s.
What a cool track.
It's a great song. But but Old and Wise is one of my favorites off of there.
Yeah.
And there was another one, the instrumental. It has a weird name, Mama Gamma or something like that. Yeah. So, that's an album I probably listened to 1,000 times when in my late teens. So I love it.
Man, those are great choices.
Yeah.
So as you can see, 1982 definitely had some killer moments as far as music is concerned.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite songs ever appeared in 1982.
Yeah.
So 1982 wasn't so bad. And like I say, it was the year that I became a true die-in-the-wool music worshiper, a fan. You know, it was more to me than just I kind of like that song, I kind of like this. Like I was into music from 1982 on.
And for me, of course, the memory of these songs, for the most part, came a year later.
Yeah,
and they're valued in my memory I just didn't discover them at the time. So 1982 is actually very important to me as well.
Thanks for watching this episode of In a Darkened Room. You can find the link to this episode's companion Spotify playlist in the description. Darren and Chris welcome your comments. You can leave your thoughts and opinions in the comments section below. Follow In a Darkened Room on Twitter to receive updates and submit your ideas for what we should discuss in upcoming episodes. Darren and Chris are also on Instagram, so give them a follow there as well. All of these links can be found in the description below. While you're there, be sure to click subscribe and ring the bell.
All right, random topic time, and I think it's time for some trivia. What do you say?
Let's see what happens. Maybe it'll be an 80s question. Maybe a 1982 question. You never know.
I don't know, because this is random. We don't know what we're going to draw out of here.
This is true.
So the card is a real name card. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
All right, what was Mick Jagger's birth name?
Okay.
All right. Choices are Michael Anthony Reed, Mikhail Anton Jagov, Michael Philip Jagger, or Jerry Hall. Jerry Hall was his wife,
That's
right?
who he married, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so we can eliminate that one.
Yeah, I don't think it's B either. Mikhail.
No.
So it's probably Michael Philip Jagger or Anthony Reed.
It's going to be A or C.
Yeah.
And I have to admit, I don't really know.
I don't really know either.
I really don't. I never knew that wasn't his real name.
Yeah. I'm going to assume that Jagger's not his real name, because that happens so commonly.
That's where I'm leaning to.
Yeah, so Michael Anthony Reed is our guess.
That's our guess.
The answer is Michael Philip Jagger. There's one we got wrong.
Wow. So really his name's Mick Jagger. What kind of question was that? That's his real name.
Michael Jagger, yeah. Yeah, that one was kind of misleading.
Yeah, that's kind of bogus.
Yeah, we don't know everything, so there you go.
Well, he's been Mick Jagger my whole life. So.
Yeah, me too. All right, guys, we'll be back soon with another episode.
Yes, we will.
Thanks for joining us tonight. I enjoyed this discussion.
Me too.
Yeah, all right, take care, guys.
See you next round.
So